Last part is software bill of materials, or in short, SBOMs. We are going to not have a comprehensive training on SBOMs because that could definitely take a few hours, but rather introduce the concept and also talk a little bit about what we are doing in terms of SBOMs at the Eclipse Foundation. So let's get started. First of all, what is an SBOM? And this is the formal definition of an SBOM. It's an inventory of software components and dependencies, component metadata, and their hierarchical relationships of a software product. And this is quite a complex definition to comprehend at first if you're not familiar with the concept. So let's start with a simple analogy to better understand it. Let's say we're trying to make chocolate chip cookies. And in order to make chocolate chip cookies, what do we need first? We probably need a list of ingredients, such as flour, sugar, and butter. And then we need like the types of specific ingredients, such as if it's unsalted or salted. And then we need measurements. Then to draw the parallel, let's say we're the maintainer of a task management app. So the meal is the software product. And then as an equivalent to ingredients to build task management app, we will need software components such as a front-end framework, a UI library, a utility library, and so on. Then, such as we have quantities and types, we would also need to choose the specific components that we want to use. So for example, for a front-end framework, we would, let's say, choose React with a specific version and a specific license. These would be the component metadata. And then to be able to finish our cookies, what else do we need? We will probably need some steps on how to mix these ingredients together into intermediary products that in the end make up the cookies, such as a dough and a filling. It's the same with our app. So for example, these components oftentimes depends on libraries and packages that make them function correctly. So the link between these are called hierarchical relationships. So before everybody gets really hungry and we lose everyone's attention, all these things that we discussed about chocolate chip cookies form a recipe, and in the case of our app, they form an SBOM. So going back to the original definition, but adding a couple of more details on top of it. An SBOM is an actual file that can be generated in multiple popular formats such as JSON, XML, YAML. And in terms of their structure or their schema, there are a lot of popular standards in which they can be generated. The most popular ones are SPDX and CycloneDX. Again, and this is very important to mention, generating an SBOM, you don't have to do it yourself. There are a lot of tools available, open source tools as well, that generate the SBOM for you. You just have to choose the one that better fits your needs, and they generally depend, that choice depends on the ecosystem for your project. And lastly, the phase in the software development lifecycle in which is recommended to generate the SBOM should be at build time. Because of the increased accuracy, the dependencies are captured exactly as used during the build, and it also integrates seamlessly in CI/CD pipelines. Now we discussed what an SBOM is. Let's say why we need them. Supply chain security has been a very discussed topic in recent years. Modern apps use hundreds of third-party components, and oftentimes vulnerabilities hide in these dependencies. So it might be the case that the compromise of one dependency can lead to the compromise of the software that is using it. So by providing an SBOM to your users, in case one of these vulnerabilities pop up, you're actually helping them answer questions such as, am I affected and where am I affected? And it helps them in drastically reduce the time from discovery to the mitigation of such risk. And another important mention would be for compliance. Good thing to mention would be the US Executive Order and also the US Cyber Resilience Act, the CRA, which advise or either enforce for software products to be accompanied by SBOMs provided by vendors. All right, so we discussed what it is and why we need them. Let's talk a little bit about how to generate an SBOM for your project. A good disclaimer to make in the beginning would be that it's impossible to give a specific technical recipe on how you could generate one for your project, because it highly depends on a lot of contextual things like the architecture, the ecosystems, the tools that you're using in your build system. What we want to do instead is to provide you with a framework, so questions you should ask yourself to get started. And these questions would be: how many products are in your project? The answer to this is actually how many SBOMs you should generate. So for a front end and a back end project, you would have to generate 2 SBOMs. Then how can I integrate it into existing CI/CD pipelines? For example, if you're using GitHub Actions workflows for building and releasing, then you could have a workflow to generate the SBOM as well. What is the release process? For example, if you're creating GitHub releases or Git tags, then that could be your event trigger for the SBOM generation workflow. Very important which tool to use to actually generate the SBOM. And again, this depends on the ecosystem. But we've documented a couple of tools that we've tried ourselves in our security handbook. So we have a lot of pointers and references on how to install them and how to use them. So make sure to check that out as a starting point. And lastly, where do we want to publish it? You can upload them as artifacts, but you can also upload them to our DependencyTrack instance. And now that I've mentioned this, what is DependencyTrack? DependencyTrack is a very popular tool that is part of a broader category, which is called software composition analysis platforms. And let's see why these are useful. SBOMs are really lengthy files, and it's quite often very difficult to analyze them manually. So instead, what these platforms or tools do is they come with some features that make this analysis process a lot easier, such as components visualization and overview. Then it's dependency tree visualization, and last but not least, they gather a lot of data from vulnerability streams and for your specific SBOM. So the dependencies that are in your project, they enrich that with data from those streams. So in one view, you're able to see the exact packages that your project uses, their versions, and if they are affected by a vulnerability without having to look at that yourself for hundreds of dependencies. And you also have the option to be alerted for these in order to be in the know and to patch it, or on the user side to know what risk you are accepting by using that specific project. Here at the Eclipse Foundation, we have our own DependencyTrack instance. You can access it at sbom.eclipse.org, and you can log in with your Eclipse Foundation account credentials and check out the SBOMs that we're already uploading for projects. And on the other side, if you'd like to get started with uploading your own project SBOMs automatically, we've developed so far an upload integration. It comes in the form of a reusable GitHub Actions workflow that you can just paste at the end of your SBOM generation workflow, and it works out of the box. The self-service will pick it up after every workflow run, download your SBOM from the artifacts, and then upload it to our dependency track instance automatically. We have some documentation about how this integration works. Again, it's in our security handbook, so make sure to check it out, but it's really straightforward to use if you want to start uploading them. Last but not least, I will take a few minutes to talk about the SBOM Early Adopters Initiative that we started. The security team has started this year here at the Eclipse Foundation. What we want to do is with this initiative is to help or support projects in equipping them with GitHub Actions workflow to first generate SBOMs for for the products in their project for each new release, and then automatically upload them to our dependency track instance. So we have a centralized place where all the SBOMs for EF projects can be found by users. And we do that the usual way. We start our collaboration with these early adopters project. We design and implement such an SBOM generation workflow for them or with their help. And we try to integrate it seamlessly into existing release processes and PR for the project's review. We've successfully completed our collaboration with the first group of early adopter projects, and we've managed to develop such workflows for 4 ecosystems so far. These projects are already uploading on a periodic basis to our instance. And we've also linked the resulting workflows here. So if you want to check them out to use as inspiration for your projects, make sure to do so. They're also linked in our security handbook if you want to check them out later. And lastly, we currently maintain a queue of projects that we help with implementing these GitHub Actions workflows. So if you'd like to have our guidance or support, you can reach out to us at the security email address. What we would like to ask you is that if you could provide some project context in the email, it would definitely help speed everything up. So things like the number of products in the repository, ecosystems, versioning, release processes, and CI/CD pipelines, those details would be appreciated. And in terms of future goals, we want to have an SBOM registry for all Eclipse Foundation projects. Also develop a collection of reusable workflow templates that can be used with minimal customization by new projects that want to start SBOM generation, and also to have an enriched resources library about this specific topic. We have, in fact, already started the last point. So in our security handbook, there is a special place dedicated for SBOMs. We have an introduction to SBOMs, which is more comprehensive. We have guides on how to start generating and uploading SBOMs. And we've also written some documentation on the tooling ecosystem for Cyclone DX, for the Cyclone DX standard, to get you started on choosing a tool. So make sure to check this out. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. This is the end of the last part of this training. We also have a quiz for this part, which I will try to share right now. Okay, it should be launched and you should be able to see the questions. I'm going to give 1 or 2 minutes for everyone to read through the questions. There are only 3, and then we can discuss the answers. In the meantime, I'm looking for questions in the chat, but I think all of them have been answered so far. So I've seen a question, what about tool support for projects at GitLab? Dependabot is a GitHub tool. Are there similar tools for project at GitLab? Sure. So in terms of our initiative to have this resources library, we just started this a few months ago, and we decided to start with GitHub's Dependabot and also with Men Renovate. But in the future, probably towards the end of the year, we'd like to enlarge that and add more tools, and we can definitely take a look at GitLab tools as well. Right, we are at 40 out of 46 on the quiz. I will wait 10 more seconds and then we can go through the answers. All right. The numbers are not moving, so I'm going to end the poll. And let's see. So the first question, what kind of information about a software product can be found in an SBOM? Pretty much everyone got this right. So we have software components, hierarchical relationships between dependencies, and we also have dependency metadata. What we do not have installation steps. This belongs in the documentation. Then the second question, how does providing an SBOM for your software product helps users? Again, it helps with supply chain security and visibility, and it might help with compliance in some cases. What it doesn't help with is UX. And last question, why are software composition analysis platforms such as DependencyTrack useful? They make it easier to analyze SBOMs, correct? They do not generate SBOMs for your project. You can only upload them after generation. And thank you for answering the quiz. I will be handing the mic over to Marta for the closing survey.
Absolutely. We would like to get your feedback from this session, and we'll be delving more. So we are interested about what you think. So I'm posting the link to the survey in the chat. Please fill the survey. That's going to take you just 1 minute. And during the time when you are filling the survey, if there are other questions, we can answer them live. I can see that there's discussion about supporting other development tools. that have been answered. So definitely there's more work that will be happening in that area in the next month, the next months. So I would like to thank you everyone for coming, hoping that that was useful for you. Videos and slides will be shared, so you will be able to share this session with your coworkers, with your friends. It is open for everyone. Of course, we recommend to follow the first part of this session and then follow the second one. All materials are available, and will be offering and preparing new types of trainings in the future. So follow us so that you can have access to those trainings when we announce them. And for now, we don't have more questions, so I'd like to thank you all yet again for being with us today. We are at 59. We have a question, and well, yeah, that has been already answered by Mikael. The SBOMs on the EF dependency track are from EF project, but definitely you can duplicate the same thing in infrastructure of other projects. And if other foundations are interested to share their experiences, we are absolutely open to discussing our experiences and our deployments. So thank you everyone for being with us. It is 5 p.m. my time, probably same time or different time for you. Thank you all for being with us, and the recordings will be ready soon. Thank you.